Yo, what is going on, guys? Max here with a brand new video, and today we are talking about Cyberpunk 2077 and roughly how it has turned out in the 1 year that has followed since its release. Now, I'm sure by now you've all seen the screenshots, you've heard the stories, maybe you even played it for yourself. Hopefully you have. I truly recommend at least trying the game out before you make any assumptions about it. But it is a well-known fact that this game has a lot of issues, and it has had these ever since it began in early development. Now, it's not in every single platform, I do want to say this. It does seem to be a bit buggier in the base console, so your base PS4 and your base Xbox One models. These just so happen to be the more popular consoles of each of the generations, so not the PS4 Pro or not the Xbox One X. So 90% of the screenshots that you do see of any of the bugs on those systems will actually be on the OG Xbox and the OG PS4. So I was just sitting here today looking at my games when I remembered that I actually have Cyberpunk 2077, and I thought, you know what? Let's see about giving it another shot. I haven't touched this game since roughly early February before they started to do any of the patches on any of the old systems, which, by the way, all the footage you're seeing now is coming from an OG Xbox One. This is the chunky Xbox One that isn't very fast in any given sense, but it can still technically run the game very, I wouldn't say well, but very decently. It's funny because looking back on the footage that I have, it looks a lot better than when I was recording it on my TV. I'm kind of confused about that. I don't know if there's some kind of processing that goes on to make it look a lot sharper, because without any filters or anything else, it looks a lot nicer than it did in my TV. I wonder if my TV is having some issues. Anyways, this is the beautiful buggy world that is Cyberpunk 2077. This game had such high hopes for it. It was so hyped up, and there was no way that this game could possibly live up to the amount of hype and expectations people had for it. That being said, it's not a bad game. It is a very, very solid game. If you like RPG first-person shooters, you will more than likely enjoy this game for a long period of time. It's still funny to me that I see reports of, oh, this amount of players have stopped playing the game since launch. Okay, well, yes, it's a single-player game, and if they've completed everything, they've done all the content for it, there's nothing else for them to do. Why would they continue to play the game if there's nothing else left for them to do? And being that CD Projekt Red hasn't really released too many DLCs, or actually, they haven't done any DLCs, just some content updates with patches and things of that nature. So you can't really fault anyone for not playing the game past they've already beat it and there's nothing else left for them to do. Yeah, I'm sure a large amount of these people actually just got bored of it and put it down. But not a whole lot of players stopped playing the game just because the game had issues. A lot of them stuck with it, waited for updates, and a lot of these updates did fix lots and lots of problems that had been occurring on most of these older systems, as the game technically wasn't really optimized as it came out. If you did play this game day one like I did, you will notice that it is a lot more different than when you first played the game. Regardless of all of the issues that have been currently going on, I just wanted to take a look back and see if the game is currently playable on these old-gen consoles. So like I did say earlier, this is on an original Xbox One playing, so we'll be capped at 30 FPS, and it played pretty decently. I didn't really have too many issues with it. There wasn't a whole lot going on. I did run into two massive bugs while I was playing, where I believe a pedestrian got stuck on the car and ended up glitching the car and flipping it all over the place. And graphically, the game didn't really look that great, but I actually kind of just expected that because this is running on an OG Xbox One that came out in 2013, roughly, I believe, is when that console generation dropped. And I've always said this about this game. This game was never actually meant to come out on the current gen consoles. It was always meant for PS5, Xbox Series X, as well as running it on systems, like PC systems I should say, that maybe have a 2080 and above, which really sucks, especially for today's day and age where you're looking at the long wait lists of getting a next gen console and the almost forbidden PC graphics card market where you cannot find anything unless you get a pre-built, and even then that pre-built is going to be very, very expensive due to the chip shortage. So this game has suffered quite a good bit because of that, and because, like I said, it was never truly meant to come out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and I still think that it should never have come out. If the developers had their way and weren't rushed by Warner Brothers, I believe the game would have come out 2023, late 2023 at least. Earliest maybe 2024, maybe June, July, because it is inherently obvious how unfinished and unpolished this game was and still is even to this day, even though it's been an entire year since it's been released. Of course, if you are thinking about playing this game, if you maybe never got to try it out, if you just bashed it from the start, maybe try it out now. It's a pretty good time if you play on PC, or if maybe you can swing a PS5 or Xbox Series X, you can try it out then. However, it is not currently optimized for those two systems. I believe they said that's coming next year, after delaying that, which was supposed to be the end of this year, which Ironically, it just kind of fits how this game has gone from the start. So while you're not going to have the greatest experience if you do decide to play this on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One for that matter, you're not going to have the worst either. It's going to be a very enjoyable experience. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself playing this game. I ended up just getting bored and playing something else after putting maybe 3 or 4 days on it and doing so many side quests that I just didn't really want to play anymore, and I wanted to see what they would do with new updates, maybe some DLCs that would come out in the future. And so far, things have been looking good with all the updates. The DLCs, however, a bit lacking as they've kind of had to stop and mostly just try and fix more bugs that the bug fixes then create. It's a whole process that they're kind of dealing with right now. I think it's pretty funny, but I do feel bad for the guys over there. Which is why even to this day you will still see people bash it, even though it's a pretty solid game. And even if you do decide to play on the old gen consoles, it's still a very enjoyable experience. You can sit down, play this game for 8 hours and have a good time. That's still more than what I can say for most games, as if I do purchase a game, if I can get more than 2 hours out of it, it is considered a pretty decent game, because most games nowadays, I just can't. You'll pick it up, turn it on, you'll have fun for maybe 15, 20 seconds, then you just sit there and you'll see all the issues that the game has. This one is somewhat similar in that sense, except there is so much more to do in this game, and there is so much more possibilities of what you can get into. But as I said, even with all the issues the game has had, it's still a very, very enjoyable game. I would 100% recommend it to anybody that is into that style of game, or maybe just RPG games in general, that want to go out, have some fun, do whatever they please. Because personally, I never hated the game. I never once sat there and looked at it and thought, oh, this game's a disgrace, it's a disappointment to video games everywhere. No, it's just a game that was rushed way too soon, and because of the executives above the company, they made a very poor decision. It's still a very playable game, but maybe not for that $60 price tag that they did put on it originally. I think now you can find it marked down pretty well, which is going to be a pretty great deal. And as I kind of watch this back, I do think it's funny seeing some of the bugs, and it actually makes the game a bit more enjoyable for me at least. It could be different for you because of course you do want to be immersed, but I don't know, games that have bugs, if it's not game breaking and it doesn't make the game crash and explode and blow up your console and catch your house on fire, I actually really enjoy seeing some of these weird bugs that happen, because some of it is just super funny. I'm sorry. If it irks you enough to where you get physically angry over it, you might want to reevaluate some decisions in your life, because it's not that serious, I promise you. Yeah guys, that is going to do it for today's video. This is just something that I thought was very interesting to kind of take a look back and see, because it has been almost a year since Cyberpunk 2077 has released, and I just did want to see if anything has changed. Maybe I missed out on something really cool, but no, it looks like it's about the same, with just some bug fixes here and there. Maybe a couple new pieces of content, but not enough to really make me jump in and start playing the game again. But yeah guys, like I said, that is going to do it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.